Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's been said before that we're here on this planet, living life for a reason. What's your reason? What's your purpose in life? If you haven't found it yet, or maybe you're not even sure, but things just don't feel right, like you're doing life, but doesn't feel like it should be this way, you probably haven't found your true purpose in life. And she is somebody that can help you do that. She does it for lots of people, gives them counseling along the way, but most importantly, hypnotherapy, energy healing, all of that. And Raquel Williams is back on the program with us. Welcome. How are you doing?
Hello, Steve. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to start with you right away. I don't mean start in with you, but start with you in that you found your purpose because you went through a lot to get to this point, and your purpose was really healing yourself after 12 years of not sleeping, literally going through all different things, trying to figure out what was wrong. You discovered hypnotherapy. You went through some treatment, some healing, and then realized, wait a minute, this works so fabulous for me. It changed my life. I'm doing it for other people. Would you say you found your purpose?
Yes, absolutely. And I heard someone say once, Steve, that your purpose and what it is that you're meant to do is usually highlighted in our lives, if you would, at a very young age, somewhere in between, 1 and I'm going to say before teenage years, right? There's an experience that we have as a child that lights up our soul. And that is linked to our purpose. I never really understood it when she said it. But then when I lived out my own path, I realized that at about 6 years old, I had an experience where I was watching the pretty famous show back then called Star Search.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a little girl that sang. And I remember watching her, and I was captured. It was one of those moments where I was captured, so much so that here I am today still talking about it. And I remember feeling like, I'm going to do that. And it wasn't so much the singing. It was when they panned the audience, there was something that I felt, because I felt like they were captured and inspired by her. And I couldn't even articulate that as a child, but there was something in that really just lit something up in me. I ended up pursuing singing for a long time in my younger years because I really felt that was a passion of mine. But what I realized throughout my journey is that it wasn't the singing itself that I was so drawn to, but I was drawn to working with people, inspiring people, liberating people. It was kind of the whole effect of it. But for some reason at 6 years old, watching that little girl sing activated something in me. So I hope that makes sense.
Without a doubt. And wow. In many regards, you described me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I feel what I'm doing is my purpose, broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I wanted to do it when I was 8, at least. All I did was walk around with a radio. I was obsessed. But at the same time, I also was drawing cartoons, and I wanted to be a cartoonist. And when I was 22, I came that close to being syndicated, but I started radio at 17. I got lucky. I got a job at a big station. My second job, 6 months in, I wasn't even 18. They let me lie in the application so I could get that job. And then I started doing that. And then I liked both, but then, I was already working. So I put the cartooning thing to the side. But then years later, I opened a marketing company, and all that stuff I learned through graphics, I still use those skills to the day. But just what you said, but it makes me wonder with a lot of people, maybe miss their purpose because they were inspired by something when they were younger, but didn't realize it, didn't pick up on it. And it just kind of went by the wayside. And then you just do life. And then you realize, I'm not really that happy. There's something missing here. But the answer was back then. Is it typically that it's something from when you're younger, you see something, you like it?
I think so. my experience has shown me that we have a draw for a reason, right? Not only a draw, but you're very good at what you do. You have a natural flow. You connect with people easily. You make me very comfortable when I'm working with you. To me, that is your God-given gift, if you will. Okay?
And honestly, I don't even know I'm doing it.
Well,
I'm not even
that's
trying.
what I mean.
I'm just, I don't want to say I'm phoning it in, because every person I talk to, everything I do is important. It's just, but I don't have to try. I just do it. Like, it just happens. Even the
That's what I mean.
questions, people say, are you prepared? Do you have questions? I don't have one single question. It just, I'm interested genuinely in what you do and how you help people. And I want to learn more. And it's my hope that I'm asking questions that other people would want to know. I don't know.
And you're the perfect example, because this is what I mean. You were drawn to something as a child, walking around with that radio. There was a draw. There was a reason for the draw. Just like me, I was drawn. I thought it was the singing, like you kind of got into cartooning. I realized along the way that it wasn't necessarily the singing, it was the impact on the lives. Okay.
Yep.
And so I was drawn to that. I started public speaking. I started doing all these things that I was scared to death of, but I had such a draw to it. And when I stepped on stage, I became how you are in podcasting. Super nervous, scared, anxious, step on stage, and it's like, I'm another person. So this is what I mean, is that I feel like there is a moment in our lives where we're shown what that is. And I think what happens is that along the way, there are experiences that we have that are either push us closer or really take us far, because people go into survival mode. They don't have the best support or upbringing, and they've got to figure it out, which was also part of my path. So that will take you in a whole other direction. I ended up doing sales for many, many years in the corporate world. And did I love it? No. Was I good at it? Yeah. But my soul was dying, because it's not really what I wanted to do. Just because I was good at it and I could make a living at it, I wasn't fulfilled. And I think that's what a lot of people feel. They come to me, they're doing well financially, decent, they're living, but there's something missing because they let go of their passion. And they always know what it is. Most of the time, people know, well, I really enjoy this, but they look at it as a silly little hobby.
Yep.
But I promise you, when you start to explore what you have been calling a silly little hobby, it may not be that exact thing, but there's something in there that will lead you to more if you'll just allow yourself to open up to it and allow the universal forces, if you would, to open those doors. Because when you do finally say yes to it, I promise you the doors begin to open, but you got to say yes to it.
And have an open mind and have the faith in yourself, which isn't easy. You can help with that, to look at that dream and start moving in that direction. And that doesn't necessarily mean quitting your big job, but there may be a different form of that dream that can get it done for you. It could even be volunteering. And just what you said before resonated with me, in that I never realized why I got into what I'm doing, but just through the same reason that you did, to make an impact on people. And I discovered that when I was about halfway through my career. I left that big job, took another one. It was a smaller one, but it was okay. And I got out of it, radio, for a couple of months, and started looking for a job in hospitals and in other areas where I could help people, like a public information officer at a hospital. So now I'm doing what I do, but I'm giving back. And somebody said, hello, you do that with radio? I'm like, oh yeah. It didn't even occur to me, because I've been doing morning shows. We'd have people call up. We talk about their challenges. It would be fun, but we were helping people along the way, fundraisers and all that. I never realized that. And that's kind of, and that's that in sort of the same way you experience the same thing. You were making an impact on people being on stage, but maybe it wasn't exactly the impact that you wanted to make, but you were invoking something from them, emotion, whatever.
That's exactly right. And so with that said, it's totally okay to stumble a little bit along the way.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that you're gonna fall on it right away. But my experience has been, if you, like you said, have an open mind, acknowledge that there's something more, that there's something more of a draw, a call, a feeling, whatever it is, your unction, follow it. So many people ignore their unction, Steve. They ignore that little feeling. They ignore that thing that's trying to tell them something. And those are the ones that come to me with anxiety and depression so much of the time.
Wow.
Because you can't, I heard it said one time that the biggest form of betrayal is when we betray ourselves. And that is a form of betrayal. When we ignore that pull, that call, that gift. And so to say that you want peace and you want to be happy and you want to be fulfilled, it's not necessarily how much money you make, although it's great to make money. Money is simply an exchange of energy. Okay. So what are you doing in exchange for that? Right. But it's about the satisfaction of your soul. And I believe with all of my heart, based on my own experience, that when you step in and get in alignment with your soul purpose, it's blissful. And your work doesn't become heavy and hard. It becomes a joy. And when you can actually create income and a good life and feel joy in what you do and feel good about what you do, I believe that is what success is in terms of financial success. Of course, there's other areas, but in terms of financial success, I believe that is real success.
I've heard that we're here to be happy, to be productive, to learn, to give back to others, to have a wonderful, joyful, happy life. That's why we're here. And if you're not experiencing it, you're not living. And I get it, because I haven't nailed all of those yet. But that's what we're here for. We weren't here to be blank and miserable about our job, dealing with all these situations. Yes, life happens, but it's how you react to it. But when you start in your life puzzle, getting that piece in, okay, I'm doing what I really feel I should be doing. Those relationships support me. That's all good. I'm making enough money and I'm happy. It's okay. We're good. When you put all those together, when those situations come up, it's like, yeah, I got that. No problem. I can handle that, because they are going to come up. But it's finding that. And I think it goes back to what you help people with, the limiting belief. We have these locks and chains on us, making us think that we can't live that life, or we can't do that job that we always wanted. And again, we'll say it again, it goes back to your childhood. And just what you said today, I didn't expect you to say that you discover what you want to do, your purpose in life, you're exposed to it when you're younger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And to add to that, those blocks that you're talking about, we have these experiences in our lives, and especially those from 0 to 7, 8 years old, these experiences that are called traumas, because whether it is a heavy trauma, like we've discussed in the past, or a experience where a teacher made you feel like you weren't good enough, that's still a trauma to a child. It's a trauma to their psyche. So what happens is that these energies, because they are energies and belief systems, they get trapped. And they get trapped in our energy fields, and they get trapped in our minds and our psyche, our belief systems, and they create imbalances. And those imbalances can literally cause us to choke off, if you would, what wants to come to us. But everyone's heard the whole law of attraction and understanding that like attracts like. So there could be something that's meant for you, Steve, that the universe wants to deliver to you, that God wants to deliver to you. Okay. But literally these blocks are keeping it from you. It's as if you have up a sign that says, I don't want it. And so getting in there and clearing out those belief systems and those, what we call broadcast messages, and cleaning up your energy and your frequencies, and just clearing the trauma and the emotions. It's, if you imagine a pipe filled with hair and gunk, and you want to put the fresh water on, and you keep turning up the fresh water, and you're doing affirmations, and you're trying to be positive, and you're just turning up that fresh water, and you're getting trickles. You're getting trickles. So the results, you're like, man, I'm doing all this work and I don't see anything happen. And that's where people get frustrated. But what they don't realize is there's so much hair and gunk in the pipe that no matter how hard you turn up that water, you're only going to get so much. We got to get in there and clear out the gunk. That way, when you turn the water on, you got a fresh flow. And that really is the analogy I like to give people about their energy. We got to clear out the junk so that you are able to recognize your purpose and then put the message out in the universe that says, now bring it to me. But we try to say, now bring it to me with the affirmations and visualization and everything else, not realizing how dirty our pipes are.
How do you know when you've cleared the gunk? Let's say that you've been working on it, working on yourself. I have a lot of friends say the same thing. I've been working on myself. That's fantastic, as we all should be. How do you know when you've eradicated all that gunk?
Oh, it's such a great question. For years, Steve, I got into personal growth and development and leadership development. And I read books on leadership and personal growth. And I was really like working on myself. And I learned a lot. And I'm not saying that's not good. It's excellent, because the more new information you take in, the more perspective changes, because you are the sum total of how you think in a lot of aspects, right? However, as much as I learned, I got the trickles of water and not the fresh flow that I really was expecting of all the work that I put in. Mm-hmm. So when I started to clear out the junk energetically, the trauma, all the belief systems and everything, how do you know it changed? Because life begins to change, because you start to feel differently. You're lighter, opportunities open up, people come into your life. Life begins to mirror back to you who we are. So you know that you've done something when life shifts. That's how you know. Okay. You'll know by the fruit that begins to develop in your life.
Is it a feeling of, wow, that was easy. I didn't expect it to be that easy. And then you don't question it anymore. Because a lot of us, when something, let's say we manifest something and you get a phone call, and let's say it's a job offer, whatever, or something just transpires and you're like, it can't be that easy. Come on. But it is. But then do you get to the point where when the gunk's cleared, you say, hey, that's the way it's supposed to be. Let's go with it. And on to the next one, and on to the next one.
You really do, because what happens is you start to experience wins. I had somebody say to me, Raquel, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but we did a couple of sessions and I met someone. And this has been a struggle in their life, was dating and meeting someone. And I just kind of laughed and I said, there are no coincidences. So congratulations, right? And that little win gave this person permission to continue down the path. And then now that person is all about it, because their belief went through the roof because of the shifts that this person began to see in their life. So yes, I think you do get to the point where you just accept it as truth, because you cannot deny your personal experience. So when you start to experience those wins, it's like, this is how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to toil and toil and toil and toil and bear very little fruit. That's not how it's supposed to work. And so my message to people today, if you find yourself grinding, working your ass off in terms of growth or change or affirmations or whatever it is, and nothing is shifting and changing, let it be an indication that something more needs to be done. It's not that you got to work harder or you got to wait longer. That's not it. Your pipes need to be cleared.
Currently making another appointment with Raquel. The visual I get is, picture a sailboat, a good one, not a small one. And the captain of the boat is adjusting the keel. And I'm not a sailor, but he's, making that adjustment, bring the sail over this way, spin it around that way. And it's moving, but it's, there's issues. He's got, making all these corrections, and it's moving a little bit, a little here and there. And then when the gunk is cleared and it's all figured out, it just goes and just keeps going.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, wow, Now you know that things are flowing and the way they're supposed to be, and you can actually enjoy the ride. Before that, you're all tense trying to get through all the gunk and turn the wheel and make sure you're good. But when you're clear, you can sail. That's so much a great analogy for life. Most of us are not sailing and enjoying. We're trying to figure out what the heck is wrong and why we can't get the speed or the momentum in our sail.
Yeah.
And this is what's wrong. We have energy blocks, traumas, and belief systems that are literally walls that are just preventing us from understanding our purpose, stepping into alignment with those universal energies that want to bring this to us. But we got to realize that we got to get rid of the junk.
And for anybody that's listening, watching, and not fully understanding, when we talk about all this stuff, the limiting beliefs, and we've said it a bunch of times in the past, is things that you experience as a child are unfortunately holding you back. And it could be anything. Teacher said something to you. You passed by the kitchen, you heard your parents talking. They weren't even talking to you, but you heard something at 3 and you're like, oh, wait, that's me. I'm not good enough. Or could be even, and our parents didn't know, but they could have, mom could have said, that's a great picture. You could have done a better job on the grass though. Yeah, you can do better than that. And
you know what, Steve? All that is true. I heard a story just this morning I want to share because it totally pertains to this. It was 2 sisters that had a great gift to sing. And they were probably like 10, 11 years old. And they did this like talent show or something. One sister was very like opera type singing, and the other sister was more traditional. And so they did this show that they both entered in, and they both did fabulous. But when it was all said and done, the family of the sisters praised the little girl who did the more traditional singing and didn't even really acknowledge the other sister. And this is the little sister speaking, who's now an adult. And she says, I remember looking at my sister and seeing the hurt on her face. And in that moment, I developed a belief that said, it hurts people to shine. So I'm not going to shine anymore, because she didn't want to hurt people. So she became an adult. She got married. And one day her husband hears her singing. He didn't even know that she sang, walks up to her and says, I didn't even know that you could sing. Why have you not? Your voice is amazing. And after her own therapy and process and stuff, she understood that she stopped singing because she felt like she broke her sister's heart, and she didn't want to hurt people like that. And that belief as a child kept her from pursuing her gift. That's how powerful the mind is, and how a child processes something. As an adult, I would have said, oh no, wait a minute. What's wrong with you guys? Okay, that has nothing to do with me, right? I would have really rationalized it differently. But that little girl, that was the belief system that transpired. And so that is another example of what you're talking about. We have these experiences as kids that create these belief systems that impact the rest of our life.
Thanks for sharing that, because that really does illustrate what we're talking about. And here's somebody later in life that enjoys singing and knows in their heart that they sound pretty good, but suppressed it. And who knows if that came out earlier in life, that could have been Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
We don't know.
She could, right? It could have been so many things, but that belief system stopped her from even her husband, who she had been married to for 10 years, didn't know she could sing.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's funny. I'll share something real quick. Things pop in my head. I go there.
Go for it.
There's a band I like. They do a lot of covers. Saw them over the weekend. I kind of loosely follow them. The lead singer, name is Will, cool guy. And he sings everything. And it's just, amazing. It's like he's got stage presence. And I know, he's looking to hit it big. And I realized that he has some stuff on Spotify. So I listened to his stuff. And I'm going to try and say something to him. It's good, but I feel he's keeping it very safe, whereby there's another guy in there that you don't have to play it safe, even in the stuff that you've written and recorded. And it sounds good. But I think you can move the needle and be a star. But I think he's holding back for some reason. Maybe he was told something, by somebody that, just whatever it might be. We don't know. We don't know. But my gut tells me, dude could be a star. And he's on the verge of it. But I think he's playing it safe. But maybe a lot of us are. Maybe a lot of us do play it safe because of our limiting beliefs, that we don't think that we can take it to another area. If you're working with somebody, can you uncover that? Is it possible through hypnotherapy, energy clearing, to find that thing in us that we should be? We know what we should be doing in life. We just can't tap into it. Can you?
Absolutely. Because you just said it. It's not so much that I'm going to tap into it. I'm going to clear you enough that you're going to tap into it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to lead you there.
Yeah. It's funny, in my journey, I feel that I'm at the helm of the sailboat, and it's ready to take off. I feel it. I feel everything around. Haven't engaged it and hit the wind yet, but I feel it's there. But if you talked to me 5 years ago, I wouldn't say that. I would just be the robot doing, every day it's the same. It's okay. This is the way it's not the way it's supposed to be, unless you're happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's probably another big indicator that I really want people to hear today. Okay. We're not meant to come here and be miserable. Although there's a process, I believe, in becoming, okay, because there's a learning journey, because what makes us who we are is the pain, is the suffering, is the lessons. The question is, are you allowing those things to sink you? Or are you taking all of those experiences and allowing it to build you into who you're supposed to be? There's a big difference between the two. So just because you've been through some stuff doesn't mean that you're not meant to do anything, doesn't mean that you have to be a victim for the rest of your life. I encourage you to get with someone. If you want to call me, call me. But I'll tell you what, we can take that hurt that has sunk you most of your life, if not your entire life for some people, and we can turn it into the very fuel and energy that you need to step into the person that you're meant to be.
Kelly Clarkson, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. I think it's there. I want to ask this question, yes or no answer. We're out of time. Deep question alert. Do you believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, or that we're humans having a spiritual experience?
Definitely the first one.
I'm believing that more and more.
Yeah.
These are just vessels. These are just,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. How do we find you?
My website, raquelrwilliams.com, and that's RAQUELRWilliams.com. You can call me 415-347-6861.
Always great talking with you. You make everything so clear and make it easy. And it probably is. I think a lot of us make it more difficult than it has to be, right?
Yeah. A lot of times, yes. I have to agree.
Thank you so much for being here, and look forward next time we talk.
Thank you, Steve.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.